look at currency, USD INR closing sort of flattish this afternoon. What is keeping this currency in a very tight range-bound fashion? We know that RBI is doing the best it can, but there hasn't been much of a cool-off.
Yeah, so I think the RBI is possibly intervening to some degree. That is one reason, because we are close to all-time highs. That means even as the stock market has rallied more than 1,000 points, the USD INR hasn't gotten stronger, which is why, I mean, you typically see an inverse correlation, and the reason is that you always get inflows from FIIs that sort of balances the whole thing.
Right.
But for all of 2023, let's just forget that FIIs have been buying for the last 7-8 days. But on an annual basis, they are still net sellers. The last 2 financial years, they were net sellers, which means for this is the third consecutive year that we'll see net selling, even though this year it will be much smaller than the previous 2 years. We basically don't have, the dollar inflows to support our trade deficit, and that I think is the real issue. A year back, if you remember, they sold almost $100 billion to keep the currency from weakening, which is why it did not go beyond 81, 82 for a long period of time, even when the markets were weak in 2021-22. Subsequent to that, we saw some stability, but once again, we've seen it weaken recently. So I think possibly, and you can look at the RBI reserves, they've actually increased at a time when flows are negative. So I think, so the answer is right there. RBI is probably building its dollar book by buying dollars from the market, which is why the currency is not appreciating. Okay, so they're not allowing the little bit of inflows that are coming in are being absorbed by the RBI to really build its reserves, to help them in a rainy day once again.